In this episode, Louis falls to the dark side as he loses everything in Storyville. Then Louis and Lestat add to their family. Hello, entertainment enthusiasts. This is Ray, and this is the Fandom Realm. It's time for another episode, and just as a reminder, this is a spoiler review, so just be warned. So today, I'm reacting to episode 3 and 4 of Interview with the Vampire. Now, I think the best way to do this today is I'm actually going to look at episode 3 and then episode 4. And this isn't going to be really a scripted out response because I just want to go over some of the things that happened in both of the episodes, tell you a little bit about what I think, and I don't want to sit down and really write out a big long script or anything. So basically what's going to happen in episode 3, we're seeing Louis actually almost turn to the dark side. We start out the episode, basically he's asking Lestat about vampires, if they're there for a reason. Should they be moral? Should they be selective in their choosing of victims? He doesn't really want to kill humans. Louis is not comfortable with that. And that's going to be something that's going to give him a lot of shame. Now, within everything that keeps going on in this episode, we are going to see some growth for Louis and Lestat, sort of in their relationship, but also we're going to pass through a few years of time. And in that, basically what's going to end up happening in this third episode, Lestat is going to take a little bit bigger role in Louis' business. He's going to play the piano for him. He ends up being a very good piano player. Louis and Lestat are going to not really agree on where things need to go. They are in love, but the big thing there is they sort of go different ways in their love life, and they basically decide to have an open relationship, but then they come back together. One of the big things that's going to happen here is Lestat is going to actually spy on Louis while he's meeting up with a guy named Jonah, who was someone he knew years ago. This is going to cause family issues for Louis. Also, he's having family issues at home. Basically, he's going to do a few things that he probably shouldn't have. He goes back to his family's place. He ends up breaking the door in, scaring his nieces, and basically his mom doesn't want to see him anymore. While all this is going on, we're eventually going to get to the point where Louis is really seeing a different side of Lestat. We are at a situation where around I think it's supposed to be World War I is what they said. And with that, things are going to start to change. New Orleans passes an ordinance that requires black prostitutes to move across the canal, and that is going to hurt the Azalea, which was Louis' club, and they're going to have some issues making money. We also see Lestat actually did not have some good intentions towards some soldiers, but Louis is going to end all of this. Basically, the city council of New Orleans in episode 3 is going to screw over any businesses because of the race of their owners. One of the things that was said in one of the earlier episodes, and this isn't the exact quote, but make a black man a vampire and then see what comes of it because of all the injustices that he has faced. What ends up happening is Louis is going to figure out that one of the aldermen, one of the ones he's been playing cards with, is the one that has really been pushing to limit his business. By the end of this, he is going to go and he kills the alderman, displays his body for everybody to see, and that really is going to turn Louis more to the dark side. With everything going on, it's also causing the city to riot, and in the end of the first episode, we're going to get to see Claudia. Louis causes her house to get burnt down. Louis is going to save her, and the episode ends there. Now, episode 4 is going to be a little different because it really focuses just on Claudia becoming a vampire and basically her being trained about what to do. Starting out episode 4, we get to see Louis go in and rescue Claudia, but she's very badly burned. He takes her back to his and Lestat's place, and they are going to, or at least he's going to get Lestat to turn her to a vampire. It's something Lestat didn't really want to do, but he did anyway. With that, Claudia actually, I thought it was very interesting how they had her portrayed. She actually called Louis a black angel and Lestat a white angel. And that's something that by the end of the episode, she's sort of seeing them more as devils than angels. She does call them Daddy Louis and Les. That's her nicknames for Louis and Lestat. Louis is going to try to teach Claudia, and he is going to be going over things with her like using animals for food instead of humans. Of course, what we get to see with Claudia, which I think is very similar to the book, and I just want to remind everybody, I have not read any of the Interview with the Vampire books. Basically, from what I understand, she has always, in even the books, been very bloodthirsty. And she turns out to be very bloodthirsty in this episode of Interview with the Vampire. She kills multiple people. She's eventually going to fall for a young man named Charlie. And you're going to have a situation where she is going to end up falling in love with Charlie. And as you probably would expect, she's going to end up being responsible for his death. Because while they were making out and getting all hot and heavy, she's going to lose control, and basically she drains him dry and kills him. With that, it's going to usher in a very dark time for Louis, Lestat, and Claudia and the family. You basically have a situation where she is starting to realize, especially after she kills Charlie, she's starting to realize that, hey, she's not growing any. She's not going to become older. So what does that mean for her? And they really don't answer that at this point. But at the end of episode 4, we do see Claudia opening the sunroof and burning her arm. And we'll have to see what comes of that. She basically is trying to come to terms with being a vampire, being a child that's never going to grow up. So, when she's 300 years old, she's going to look like she does now. Last couple little things here. Louis does end up losing his mother. He does go to the funeral, or at least the viewing. Still not getting along real well with the family. You're also going to get to see around this time in episode 4, Claudia is going to get her own coffin. She had been sharing a coffin with Louis. And I think that really was her becoming part of the family. And she actually gets her own room for the coffin as well. She also does realize that Louis and Lestat are together, and she doesn't really have a problem with that. Now, last thing, and this is more of a episode 3 and 4 combination, is the whole current interview in modern day with Louis. And basically Daniel Malloy, he's getting information, but we still haven't gotten back to this idea of any kind of group trying to dominate the world. In the first of these 2 episodes, in episode 3, he does end up basically burning that set of tapes that he had gotten years before when he did his first interview with the vampire. And so I think that was symbolic of saying, hey, this is a new time, a new day. Everything back then doesn't mean anything. So I think that's sort of symbolic for what's coming up. We did not get a lot of information with Daniel Malloy in this episode. A lot of the interaction in this episode was between Daniel Malloy and Louis' assistant. And I don't remember his name right off the top of my head. With that, I really enjoyed episodes 3 and 4. I would say together I give them probably a B. I thought they were pretty consistent. It's very interesting trying to figure out where they're going with everything. These first 3 or 4 episodes I think have been very much to introduce characters, but they've kept the writing very smart, very creative. They are really identifying the issues going on. But as much as I'm liking Interview with the Vampire right now, they've got to go somewhere. I don't think they can keep doing what they're doing now for, let's say, the rest of the series. They've got to accomplish something. They've got to ratchet up a little bit of action. They've got to really add some stakes. So hopefully we'll move into that. I'm totally enjoying the series so far. Now, that's it for this episode of the Fandom Realm. Please subscribe, like the video, and comment below. And we'll see you next time on the Fandom Realm.